Yeah, I've been using that. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the speech generating devices, what they are, and how do we classify them, and what type of a displays you see on them. Speech generating devices, basically, they are portable. They are computerized devices that produces either a synthetic speech or a digitized speech when you activate them. Now, what's the difference between the synthetic and the digitized speech is synthetic speech is produced by the computer based on what we have the knowledge about the language and the phonology. So when you press, like, I want a glass of milk, hit the button, the computer synthetic speech will speak, I want a glass of water. Now, synthetic speech intelligibility or the quality has improved a lot from the past decades. Earlier, you used to listen more like a very robotic speech, like, I want a glass of water. But now you can see that we have a very nice deck talk. When you listen to that, it is as close to a natural speech. Now, the digitized speech is that you record the speech. So earlier, we used to record on the loop tapes or the cassette tapes, and that was the analog signal. The digitized symbols now, what we get is the recording, which is digitized. So what you see is the two, so you can have the messages on the device, and then you can access them either by finger, direct selection, or a switch, or a head stick, or by selecting a symbol from the display. Okay. So now what you see here is a light writer, and this is what we call it as a topography-based or alphabet-based system, and it has more number of symbols can produce because you can type, right? And when you type, you can see the message typed over here, and then when you hit the return button, it will produce the synthetic speech, what you have typed. Big Mac it's a switch, so when you hit the switch, it will speak the recorded message. So there's a switch, you can record the message, and that's an example of a digitized speech. So I think it's measured around like 8 seconds, so you can have a message, something like, hello, how are you, pleased to meet you. So every time the child says, hello, how are you, pleased to meet you. Okay, so but you can see that the productivity is, there's only one message, or if you want to put a new message, then you have to record it. I have used this Big Mac like red and green, red for no, green for yes. So if the child can say, do you want to drink water? Yes. You want to play? No. You want to sleep? Yes. Now these are some other speech generating devices. You can see that's from the Empirical dedicated device, and that also looks like it's an iPad with the software. The difference is the dedicated versus non-dedicated communication devices. Dedicated communication devices are designed for communication purposes, and non-dedicated devices are actually not designed for communication purposes but can be adapted. So for example, our iPad is a non-dedicated device, whereas the Prankiromic products, they are dedicated devices. Now, how do you display the symbols on those devices is either you can have a fixed display or you can have a dynamic display. Now, what's the difference? When you look at the device, this one, there's only 32 symbols you can arrange. Okay? So it's a fixed size, and there are rows and columns, but you can see that there's a limited vocabulary of only 32 words. Now, these devices also provide you can take out the outlay and insert another outlay, but every time you're using the device, you're limited to 32 symbols. Whereas in a dynamic display, what happens is when you hit the symbol, it takes you to the new screen. So it's more like your tablet, that when you hit the app button, it takes you to the new screen. So let's say, for example, if you have food, you hit the food, then it will take you to the next category where all the symbols for foods will be available. So the advantage is that you can have a large vocabulary set organized into different categories. Okay. There's another one, but we call it as the visual scene displays. They are very similar. What happens is that you put the language concepts, but they are in a contextual scenes. Okay. So here, let's say, for example, the scene is showing that the person can talk. I'm going to Australia, or hit the button, but it's showing you exactly the visual scenes. Okay? And objects and events within these photographs are then used as a symbol for communication. To give you another example, let's say, for example, you can create a visual scene display of your own community, right? And then when the child hits the button for the pizza place, then you can get the menu for, or the symbols for different pizzas, okay? Now, it can also be used in a dynamic display system, but remember that this is not very ideal for children with severe autism, maybe because of the sensory difficulties. Now, why do we choose the speech generating devices? First is that it allows us to compose detailed messages. So if the child has a capability, has a literacy skills and can type, then it allows you to have a large vocabulary and produce the novel messages. And then it also enables user to communicate very precise requests and prevent communication breakdown. So you can pre-record a sentence or pre-record a phrase, and then when the child hits that button, then the child can just speak. So you don't have to go and type every time, hello, how are you? So you just have I can give the child the code, G means greetings, you hit the G, the device will speak that. Now the voice output also, what we call it as also known as speech output, and it may, there are studies which shows that it may facilitate acquisition and maintenance of the communication skills, and we also have data that the speech output helps the learner to learn the symbol-referent relationship. Now, also everybody wants to use either a natural speech or something that looks very close to the natural speech. So the speech generating devices actually fits that category. It can produce speech which is perceived to be as natural, and there's a better intelligibility. And it's also easier to get attention. So think about it that if I am in a wheelchair and I'm in this direction and I want to get the attention somebody's, right? So either I have to move and then make a eye contact or make some sort of a vocal symbol, but with the speech generating devices, it is very easy to get the listener's attention, even when the listener is not in the visual field. Okay. Now, we also, with the introduction of the smartphones and iPads and the tablet devices, they are also available now as a speech generating devices. They are very lightweight and portable. That's what I like, because I can carry my iPad, right, and I can have that speak mod or kind of a software, and I can communicate using that. They are very cost efficient compared to the dedicated speech generating devices, and they are easy to program, and they are also, from children point of view or from the user point of view, they are very highly motivating to use, and they are socially appealing, and that means that there's a peer acceptance. Imagine that the child is carrying a heavy dedicated device and everybody is going, what is this, versus you have a small tablet. Now, what about the empirical evidence? There's a lot of empirical evidence from various studies and the meta-analysis that shows that the use of speech generating devices actually helps the children with autism to communicate better. Okay, so there are two of these meta-analysis. In the one, Van der Meter and Raspoli, they did a systematic review. They found 23 studies and total number of 51 children with 3 to 6 years of age, and 86% of those studies, they reported positive outcomes in terms of requesting skills, in terms of vocabulary, in terms of initiation, and so there is potentially an effective option is for teaching the communication skills in children with ASD. The second meta-analysis completed by Gans et al., it included 8 studies on SGDs, 9 studies on PECs, and 7 other graphic symbols. And what they found is that the effect size for SGD and PECs were very high, 99%, and the effect size for other graphic symbols were 61%. So what it actually suggests is that SGDs or PECs use a highly significant higher effects. There's another empirical evidence that was published by Schlosser et al. That also indicated that SGDs represent a viable and effective AAC option for individuals with ASD. So the question whether the speech generating devices are effective with children with ASD, that question is very well answered at present. That effectiveness, we have the effectiveness for these speech generating devices. Speech generating devices are one part of the standard of care to improve the functional communication, okay, and other outcomes for clients with ASD. And that becomes, and you can provide all the evidence that you have when you apply for the SGD funding or from the insurance agencies. And these are some of the references. In terms of the future, what we would like to see with the SGD is that when children are using it, they are using it only for requesting purposes or for being a very passive communicator, that they respond only when the adults ask them, what do you want, or something. We would also like to see the next step, that when children with autism, they are using these devices, how do they use in terms of conversation, not only the basic functional communication skills. Any questions?